And hello, everyone. Welcome. You are coming to a special treat today. I was waiting for this webinar for maybe like 10 months or so. You are going to learn today from Pablo about social entrepreneurship and how you can apply your technical skills to make a greater impact. Okay, so before we jump in there, I would like to go over a couple of things very fast. Okay, so first of all, introduce yourself. Okay, we want to know who you are, where you're coming from, city, university, faculty, right? And then tell us what brings you in here today. Okay, we are going to answer all of the questions at the end, so please use Q&A, and we will track the Q&A and answer all of the questions at the end. As we go, just put them in there before you forget. This webinar is going to be recorded, so if you want to revisit it or you find it insightful and you want to send it to your friends or your colleagues, the recording is going to be emailed to you, and then you will be able to share it with people. So before we continue, a little about Stuttgart Center for Entrepreneurship. We are on the mission to ignite entrepreneurial spirit within every university student. So we are located at Asper School of Business, but we are for all of the university students, and we in fact service faculty and staff as well. So we work with every university member, and we want to enable entrepreneurship as a career path to every one of you, right? So that's what we do, and we do it in a couple of different ways. You are part of this webinar right now, so it's all about entrepreneurship in this series, and I will invite you to go over through the lineup, and we're going to work on a new lineup very shortly, and RSVP to all of these webinars that you are interested at. If you are not making it and you are not attending it, that's fine. We're not going to chase you, but you will get the recording, so you will be able to still watch it when you can. Okay, so New Venture Championship, I'm not going to speak a lot about it, but if you want to see top-notch presentations and business pitches, on April 27, on Sunday, we're going to have our finals, and you are going to be blown away by these presentations. This year's grad level is absolutely mind-blowing. So if you are interested in participating in something like that, so start by attending the competition, the finals, right? And if you want to join our volunteering team, you can always do that, and just send us an email, and we'll put you on the list, and you are going to enjoy it. So another thing that we are doing for our students is our Startup Coach program. It is a free resource for every university student, and all you need to do is to book a one-on-one with me, and I can pick you up on every phase of your entrepreneurial journey. If you have a business idea, great. If you don't have a business idea, even better. We can find out what are your passions and how we connect these passions to your, to gaps in the market, and how you can start checking things around. So that is Stuttgart Center for Entrepreneurship. Get in contact with us, and let us help you. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our guest. Uh, Pablo was raised in Buenos Aires in low mid-class family, and he was called Canada a home for over 8 years right now. He's helping over 5,000 people to land jobs by offering the full access to tailored IT education. And generally speaking, I will let him to speak about it. But what I took from him is that at one point he decided that he wants to take his expertise and knowledge and apply it and make the world a better place for all of us. So please, let's welcome Pablo today.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hey Ben, thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you everyone for coming here for joining the webinar. I'll do my best to make this as entertaining as possible. I was telling Ben earlier that I am currently in Buenos Aires visiting family, so it's not just that I left and I never come back. I'm here. It's hot. It's humid. So I'll try to keep my energy levels up so that we can enjoy the next 45 minutes, an
Mhm.
hour. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we are not jealous at all. We have our snowfall, another spring snowfall. That's fine. That's fine.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so let me share my screen. As I was, can everyone see it? We're good?
Yes, yes, we are. Awesome. Good, good.
Excellent. So, as I was telling Ben and Marisa earlier, I always like to share stories. It's I think that the best way in which we can all enjoy a little bit while we are learning something or while we are understanding a specific concept or whatever. So, I'm gonna try to take you on a journey with me, right? As Ben mentioned, well, I'm Pablo, of course. And I'm the founder of Comunidad IT and ComIT. This is uh, trying, to simplify who I am. I always tell people that I don't, love talking about me with titles or things like that. So let me tell you a bit of my story. I'm originally from Argentina, from Buenos Aires. I grew up in a lower middle class family, meaning that my parents are self-made professionals. My dad went from dropping out from school to driving a taxi and then eventually learning how to code by himself. And then he started developing, very complex systems for different factories and stuff. So eventually he started getting more clients and he went into working full time in the tech sector. So from taxi driver to becoming an IT manager for a credit union the last years of his life. And then my mom was a teacher who eventually studied at the public university psychology. And she's been working as a psychologist for the last 30 years or so. And while I was growing up, of course, I mean, my parents always told me we don't have money for many different things, but they told me you're going to have a roof and food until you complete your studies. I went to a public secondary school. I went to a public university here in Buenos Aires. And then at one point, I started working. I actually started working before starting university. I was doing whatever I could to pay for my vacations or to pay for anything I wanted to have because I mean, as I mentioned, my parents always told me, you have a roof, you have food, anything else, work for it. So I started working when I was 17 years old, and then continued throughout university. I taught at secondary school. I painted houses. I did anything and everything that was needed until I had enough tech knowledge to go into the tech industry because I studied computer science at the University of Buenos Aires. So while I was studying, my whole agenda, my whole calendar was kind of messy because I used to work from 7:30 to 1:30, then go to the library to study, and then I had classes from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Then I would go back. Okay, I would go back home, arrive at 11 p.m., have something for dinner, do my homework for university, and then start over again. So that was kind of my life until I finished university, and then um, I had the luck of landing a few jobs that you know had a huge impact in my life and who I am, and that's part of what I wanted to share. Eventually, after going through different jobs in my life, what happened to me is that in 2007, I had a job. I landed a job at Microsoft. And this was my first chance to work with a community because my job was to be an academic evangelist. Um, you would ask, I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but basically, my job was not to sell Microsoft licenses or not to code. My job was to create a community of people in academia. So basically, going to places like U of M or all the universities or colleges across Canada. In this case, was in Argentina. I went all over the country trying to meet with teachers, trying to meet with faculty, trying to meet with students, and give away licenses and tools from Microsoft. Why? Because my job was to drive adoption. Okay, so that is a tactic that many big tech companies and other companies use, is to create a community around their products and around what they build. So because many people in South America didn't have money to buy licenses to use, all the Microsoft products, my job was to give those away so that they would start using it while they were in academia. And then eventually, once they moved to work at different companies, they would say, I know how to use Microsoft products, so the company should buy these products. Okay. So that was my job. But the beautiful thing about that is that I love that job because my job was to help people. Okay. My job was to build a community of thousands of people who didn't have enough money to access lots of tools, lots of products, and give those away for free. So I would go to very poor areas in the country and create events, connect people with mentors, try to connect them with Microsoft partners so that they would hire them. Lots of things that I love to do. Right, that was kind of my dream job up to that moment in my career. But as this slide says, one day I got to the office in 2009, and I found out that unfortunately Microsoft shareholders decided to lay off 5% of the employees worldwide to, increase the revenue of the company and all those kind of things. Because Argentina's office is mainly about selling licenses, and my job wasn't to generate revenue right away, then my position disappeared. So from having my dream job to being jobless in one day, it was quite a hit. Not only that, it's also the thing that I I had my metrics that I had to achieve. And then there was another person doing my job a year before that person left. So they gave me my metrics, his metrics as well. So I had 200% of my metrics. I did all of those things plus 20% more, and I was laid off. So as you can imagine, coming from a low middle class with no access to many things, and then making a huge effort to land my dream job, and then eventually being laid off, it was quite a big hit for me. You will say, you know what, like, why is he so negative about all these things? Believe me, I see this as a very positive thing in my life, because I learned through that situation. First of all, I had to leave that situation in a very early stage of my career. So I learned many things from that situation. And the most beautiful thing that I learned in that situation was how powerful communities are, and how important it is to connect with people, to create things, to create value. And that's what I'll be talking about in a few slides. Okay, but just remember that many things and many choices along the way are made because, well, sometimes you have to experience something negative, or you have to learn something in a different way that maybe it's not that wonderful. But as I was saying, because this was a very traumatic situation, for me, it was, well, I don't know if you all remember the movie Matrix, but I had to take the red pill. I had to see the reality as it was, right? Sometimes people make decisions that affect you, and you don't quite understand why, and then you have to change how you see some things. And then you also realize that many of the things that you were doing have had a profound impact in who you are. As I was mentioning, in this Microsoft job, I discovered how important community was for me, right? How much I enjoyed helping others. So I kind of found my purpose out of a good job that ended in a bad way. Okay. And for me, that was a very powerful moment. And I recognized that as one of those times in my life when that really marked my path. Okay. Um, the second part that I realized after being laid off was that I was able to do that job of doing 200% of my metrics plus 20% because I was able to understand how powerful communities are. I was able to work with others, and that came from me, not from the company. Okay, so if you are thinking about going and doing some social business or working with others, you have to understand what your tools are to pursue that path, to follow that journey. Okay, so you have to understand what you can do, how you understand other people, and um, what your position is in regards to the community. As I was saying, I mean, part of understanding a community is that we are not an island. Many times I tried in the past to do several for-profit companies as well. So because I come from computer science, many of us tend to be self-employed, to do freelance work, or to create small businesses. I did all those things in parallel to my social work or to helping communities. And I discovered that I enjoyed the social aspect of my work way more than I enjoyed the non-social part of it. Okay. I understood that I love being able to have a legacy, to be able to work with others and help them, and that my job was to build those links with other people, and also to help others lift up. Okay. I understood early in my career that we are not an island in many ways. I used this concept while I was a project manager at a consultancy firm, and I understood that in order to get to the end of a project, we needed to work together. And many times I would just go there and work late with people sitting right next to them, trying to think about solutions, even though I was the project manager and it was not my job. And I understood that that part was also key while doing social businesses. So again, I'm repeating this because it is so important and so key to understand how powerful a community is. Um, if you like going back to something that is current, you can see that, for example, on the community of people who like content creators for many of the social media platforms that are around, like, right? Like you have content creators from YouTube, and YouTube understood in early stages that it was good to pay people to create content. It was good to use the power of a community to develop their own businesses. For me, it was the same. While I was creating two charities, one in South America and one in North America, my goal was not to help people just to land a job, not just to train people or to help them overcome employment barriers. My goal while creating my own social enterprises was to, or my own social businesses, was to create a community that would help itself do many things. So I will now give you a small introduction of what my current social projects do. basically both in South America that I started in 2011 and in Canada that I started in 2016. Our goal as charities that I run is to help people overcome employment barriers by training them in technology. But in order to do that, many people would say, okay, we'll just go and train people for free. But I understood that it was way better to create a community of volunteers, graduates, companies, other educational institutions, many different actors that would participate in a community, because in that way, each and every one of them can bring something to the table to pursue a goal. Okay. So that for me has been to embrace the power of a community. When we talk about a social project, we need to understand that the actors participating in this are different, and each one of them have a different goal, right? So as I always say, when people ask me how do I communicate with a community, I always tell them that a community might be is actually comprised of several target audiences. In our case, for example, we have the students. What is the goal of our students? To get trained and to find a job. When you work with volunteers, many of them are looking to give back to the society, for example, when by volunteering their time. When you work with companies, they are looking for talented people, or they want to contribute in some way with their DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion projects. When you work with other educational institutions, many times we collaborate by sending people their way to continue with their studies, or people who can't afford to go to other paid institutions come to us, right? So basically, when you work with a community, the only way to embrace the power of a community is to try to understand what your position is and who the different actors are. Is the only real way of harnessing the power of a community. Oh, sorry. Okay. For me, the only way that I could do that, the only way that I could find where I was standing within a community, was to explore my own identity. I was mentioning you that it took me some time to understand who I was, what I was doing after going through Microsoft, after going through all the things that I experienced. But most of all, I wanted to understand my own values and who I was. It took me some time after being laid off from Microsoft to understand that you are not what everyone says you are when you are up here. So everyone says that you are the king, that you're the best, that you are this, you're that, when you are doing really great. And then when you're down, people tell you that you're the worst, or they won't pick up the phone, or anything like that. So you have to understand who you are, and you have to understand that we have our gifts and we have our stumbles. We do things well, we do things badly. We have our values. We have to understand what we bring to the table, so that we can understand that if we were to create a social business, or we were to move forward in a certain direction, what is going to be our place? If we want to lead, then we need to understand whether we have the tools to lead. If we are going to follow, then we have to understand that we have the tools for that. So that is, for me, exploring our identity and understanding who we are, okay? And then once we are there, once we understand who we are and where we want to go, we need to understand how to build values. When you are building a social business, when you're building a charity, or you're building companies, for example, I will mention a couple of companies later that I know that they are doing something for profit, but from a social aspect. You have to understand the value that you are always bringing to the society. One of the main things, one of the main mistakes that I've seen for 14 years that I've been doing this is that many people that are pursuing social businesses or social enterprises, um, they fall in love with their own idea, right? It's easy, right? When you are creating a project that focuses on helping others, it's really easy to fall in love with the idea that you are creating. And so we tend to make a lot of mistakes. And I've talked with people who are doing for-profit projects over the years. And we all know that in order for a project to succeed, we have to have a target audience. We have to have clients at the end of the day. And for social projects, sometimes because our goal is to help people, it's kind of a given that you have clients, right? Like if you're going to give away education or food or anything, you'll probably have clients. And what I mean by this about building value is that sometimes it's not that simple. When I'm telling you that we have different target audiences that we work with, I learned over the years that the only way for your social project to be successful is to actually satisfy all your target audiences. You can't just focus on having people interested in what you're giving away. You also have to have companies or governments interested in funding your project. You have to have people willing to volunteer. You have to think about all the different actors when you're building something, because otherwise, what many times happen is that your social project becomes dependent on only one actor. Just to give you an example, I've seen since the pandemic hit, many nonprofit organizations, unfortunately, going bankrupt for the last 4 or 5 years because they focused so much on fundraising and not that much on building value for the other target audiences, that when their source of funding disappeared, then they disappeared because there wasn't anyone requesting for their services. So how can you justify getting funding if nobody is asking for your service? So that is what I mean by building value, is that you have to build, whenever you're building a social project, you have to build value for the society as a whole, or for at least all your audiences. When I created ComIT and Community, many people told me that this was not going to be sustainable. Why? Because we don't charge people for taking our courses, and we don't charge companies for hiring our graduates. The whole project is funded by grants and donations. And believe me, I'm terrible at finding funding and donations. But when I started these social projects, I told everyone, we'll run this as long as it makes sense. And I'm grateful that I understood that early again in my career, because many people, entrepreneurs, for-profit and non-profits, just they keep pushing. They fall in love with ideas. They fall in love with their projects without stopping to understand whether people are still interested in their services or in their products. In my case, I was like, if nobody's interested in this, I will just shut it down and just go and find a job and do something else. And I'm completely fine with that. But I've been doing this for 14 years, I said, because I was able to create a project along with other people that focused on providing a service that is needed both from the people needing job from companies needing talent. Okay, so again, always, no matter if it's for profit or non-profit, you have to focus on building value. Now, are these ideas realistic or idealistic? Yes, it is idealistic. I think that all these things are based on my own values and principles. And at one point, I think that I was lucky enough to have these values in my mind that led me to create a project that has been working for 14 years. Is it realistic? I think so. Again, why? Because after 14 years, there are still companies that are willing to support the work that we are doing. We work with the federal government of Canada for the last 6 years. They've been funding our project because we are helping hundreds of people per year to land jobs. We think about all the different aspects that make this project appealing. For example, we don't train 1 million people in tech per year because not because we can't do it, but because there is no way that the market can absorb that many people. We think about what the tech market needs, and we have 14 different contents that we use and that we use according to the job openings that we see on the labor market. So we thought about all the different aspects that make this project flexible enough and useful to be appealing to people applying to get a job or to be trained to get a job, to companies looking for talent, to volunteers willing to help others. So we try to think all the time about all our target audiences and how to make it work. Now, as I was mentioning here, the projects that I created are just a couple of them. I've seen, and I still see, like lots of different projects that have a social approach. I don't know if you're familiar, for example, with Play-Doh Testing. Play-Doh Testing is an indigenous-owned company that runs. They don't. I mean, they run testing courses and then they provide testing services to different companies like Accenture, Deloitte, and many other companies. So they have a social approach because they work with people who are unemployed or underemployed. They provide them a testing course for free. I think it's for 6 months. And then what they do is that they hire these people to start providing services to companies. So their approach is also about involving the community, focusing on helping different communities across the country, helping people who are in economic vulnerability. There is a social approach with a for-profit goal. In our case, it's different because we are a charitable organization and we don't charge anything to people, like they don't do it, but we don't also sell, like we don't sell our services to other companies like they do. So one is for profit, ours is non-profit. And I've seen companies like Play-Doh Testing all over America, from Argentina to Canada. I've seen companies training people for free in testing, in software development, in marketing, in digital skills, many different things. And they were able, to, sorry. So they were able to be successful by embracing the power of the community and helping them achieve their goals. And that's it. I think that I've talked for like 30 minutes and we have like 15 more minutes for questions, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Excellent.
We don't have many questions in fact, we don't have any open questions in the Q&A. And there was one comment from Monica that needed help, so we'll touch on that one. Well, interestingly enough, right? And I was kind of like, it was very, very interesting to hear from you when you said about people falling in love with their ideas, right?
Mhm.
And And people that know me will tell you that I repeated every option, possibility I have, right? Don't fall in love with your solution, fall in love with your problem, right? What is the
Yep.
value that you are creating? And while it is very obvious for the nonprofit, right? My point is that for organizations like nonprofit like yourself, right? It holds true in my mind for profit organizations. Exactly the same, right? You stick to your core values, you stick to what you believe, right? You do the right thing and the right result will come. That was very interesting to hear from you, focusing, on solution, focusing on building value. Thank you for that. I will definitely use it going forward. But
Yep.
let's see if we can get. So Monica said that she needs your help, and then she said that she's moving to a different community and trading houses with a landlord. So I'm not sure what exactly the question here is. So if you can
Well,
elaborate on that, Monica.
one thing that I want to mention, Ben, about what you were talking is that many times people um, make a distinction between for-profit projects and non-profit projects, right? And many times I've been in different events talking as a panelist and keynote speaker and things like that. And many times people dismiss the social projects because it's like, I want to build something and earn money and all those kind of things, right? And it's crazy because I've done both things.
Mhm,
And I can proudly say that I raised a lot more money working in the nonprofit sector than in the for-profit sector. Because sometimes, as you said, like many times when you go with an idea that you work for profit, you are competing against others. You don't know that you're competing against other people in the world. You are doing things in a certain way, trying to sell instead of trying to drive adoption, instead of playing with people's, not playing in a bad way, but uh, there is in play people's passion when you are working in social projects. I've been in Tech Thursday sometimes, and I was there talking with people, and many people were talking, oh, this company raised $100,000 and everyone is clapping and whatever. And I was like, we got $2 million back in October, right? I mean, I don't have to say it, it's all over the media, the money that some of the nonprofit raise, like, I don't know, Empower Canada, it's another charitable organization, and it was announced 2 years ago that they got $3 million from Google or this or Microsoft. So for me, it's it's similar in many ways, whether you're working for profit or non-profit. And I brought to the social um, to the social market many ideas from working at for-profit companies, because I think that you have to be professional, that you have to have sprints, that you have to have, like many things that we use in the for-profit sector can be applied in the non-profit sector. And the most important thing is actually what marketing teams do, which is understanding your target audience.
mhm,
Right? And if you do it well, then everything is the same. You have to have an accountant, you have to have a marketing team, you have to have communications, you have to have project managers, you have to have like many similar things as the for-profit ones.
mhm,
It's just a matter of whether you are passionate about going that way and harnessing the power of communities and harnessing or loving to help other people working in the social aspect. I'm passionate about that. I love that my kids who are small, when they ask them what I do for a living, they say, my dad help people.
mhm.
Help, I don't know. I just love that.
It's great. Like a question to you then. I think I think like with and I worked with nonprofits on like helping them out with operations and stuff like that. I think my experience is that when you are a nonprofit, people tend to trust you a little more, that you are who you are, presenting to them, right? And then they buy in more into your idea. And that's where I'm saying, like, when we work with the for-profit teams, right, and for-profit organizations, I still say, okay, well, what are your values? What are the things that you want to achieve? So other people will buy into it. So maybe that is the reason, or that is the difference. But for you, right? Have you ever thought that if you will start another for-profit organization, right, and you will start, applying all of your knowledge and skills and everything to build that business, you can
Yep.
actually create a greater impact
Yep.
as a non-profit.
Yes, and those are conversations that I've had with my wife many, many times. Um, at one point, it was a conscious decision not to go that way because I don't have the time in my life. Like I would have to leave my non-profit projects to start a for-profit because I don't believe in doing things halfway. If you're going for profit, then give it all. Go all in. You have to put effort, time, everything, because many times you have to answer to your, donor, not donor, funders, people who put money for you to go. That I was offered many times to partner up or to start new ideas, and we've had many great ideas with my wife that I would have loved to pursue. And then I was like, I don't want to leave this other thing behind because I enjoy it too much. Um, it is true that you can apply many of the things, and it is true that many people trust you sometimes more when you come from the nonprofit sector, but it's also true that the weight on your shoulders is many times bigger because people trust you and you are leading a community of people in vulnerable situations. And we saw on the news charities that I won't mention their name or anything when there were some scandals with the
Mhm.
federal government and some charities, and it's awful. And that's when your values can, kick in, right? You can lose everything from making a bad decision in a second, and then you're going to be a pariah in the society for the rest of your life, probably. And so when you are working in a for-profit company, if you shut down because it didn't work, you shut down and it didn't work.
Mhm.
If you have a charity and a lot of people are trusting you and they believe in you and you're leading them and everything, and you shut down because you made bad choices, it's gonna be hard to, come back from that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that, and that makes so much sense as well. So, tell me, please. So we speak to a broader audience of mostly university students, right? They are looking into entrepreneurship and they are curious about it and they may start something, right? Most of them will start thinking about a for-profit because in many minds, entrepreneurship and for-profit are equivalent, right? Which you are proving, which is wrong assumption, and I do my best to explain to people that's not the case, right? So, what would be your one piece of advice for a young entrepreneur that are at the very beginning of their entrepreneurial journey, and they want and younger generations they want like to have some impact, so they want more impact on the world around them, and they would like to incorporate social entrepreneurship into their for-profit. So what would be your piece of advice for them?
Well, the first, I mean, I already mentioned that they don't have to fall in love with their own idea, and but aligned with that, I've met too many people who are too scared about sharing their ideas with others because they think that it will be stolen or anything. Even my wife many times told me, don't tell everyone the details about how you do your job. I'm like, I'm able to do my job because, sorry, I don't like this to sound like ego or anything, but I always tell the her that I'm good at my job. And I love the job that I do, and I'm passionate about the job that I do. And I welcome anyone else who wants to open their own social project and help other people. If they can help 1,000 more people more than the ones that I just helped, that's wonderful. You
Mhm.
know, the more people that we help, the better. However, I do think that we have to share our ideas before starting a project without. How can you validate if a community is going to be interested in what you have to offer if you are the only one with an opinion? If you're the only one, yeah, of course that you're going to love your idea. Of course that you think that you have the best idea in the world and that everyone will love it. But if you don't talk to other people and ask them, are you willing to go and do a survival job during the day and then take this course that I'm gonna give you for free during evenings? Are you willing to do this for 3 months or 6 months so that I can help you? So if I don't tell my target, if I don't share this with my target audience, how can I know that what I'm trying to do is actually have the impact that I want it to have? And I believe that many people we suffer from that know-it-all syndrome, where we think that we know better than everyone else. For profit, non-profit, doesn't
Mhm.
matter. We tend to have that view of the world, and we are too scared that somebody else will steal the idea from me. And to be honest, if you think that you are not that great that anyone can steal your idea in the beginning, they will probably be able to steal your idea once you finish as well. I mean, so unless you have a patent or something, intellectual property, whatever, um, if you're just like doing a website and you think that nobody's going to be able to clone it and do the same once you finish, they will arrive maybe 3 months after you, 6 months after you, but yeah, that's my recommendation to any person starting for profit or non-profit or anything is to don't be scared of validating your idea with other people. Listen. That's We are missing a lot of listening nowadays.
Yeah, you know what? Like I'm 100% with you. Abundance mindset helps, and yeah, if somebody else can make greater impact together with me, why not? And I it's half joke, but I'm kind of serious about it as well, right? I always think that our best line of defense with our ideas is actually our execution, because majority of the people will not execute. They will speak about it, like all of these cubicle talks about how they are going to become millionaires very soon, right? And
Yep.
nothing happens ever. So yeah, I always say, like just speak to people, execute. Execution is your best friend, right? Awesome. So I will take that one. So there is a question actually from Alexandra. Thank you for the talk. Do you have any insights on how to start the relationships with your communities?
Yes, Alejandra. Okay. So it's funny, because this is I, part of how we started is that, it's crazy. It's gonna sound crazy, but 14 years ago, we I had no issues about doing anything and everything I needed to do to connect with people. So I always tell everyone that when we started, we went with my wife to a park with flyers and told them there is a free course. And we delivered, I don't know, 300 flyers and we got 14 students. So, um, how I start with my communities is, first of all, don't be scared to do anything legal, right? But the idea is that go into Slack channels, go into LinkedIn. Many times, for example, I connect with people sending them. I first of all, I hate when people just send me a LinkedIn connection request with no message or anything. It's like, oh, I was just navigating LinkedIn and I saw your profile and I'm curious. It takes nothing to actually write a nice message and copy paste it in every introduction you do to someone. Just change the name. Remember that. and then trying to start a conversation with people. The worst case, I mean, the worst thing that can happen to you is that people won't answer. You know? And as I always tell people, is that starting any project or connecting with communities or anything is like going to a dance party, a disco, or whatever, a bar, and then talking to one person, and that person will reject you, and then another person will reject you, and another person will reject you, until someone will talk to you. Okay.
Mhm.
There was one graduate that sent 300 resumes in a month to land 6 interviews and to land one job. So it's a matter of connecting with your community through large numbers, going everywhere, sharing, this is my new project, this is what I'm going to
Mhm.
be doing. If you're interested, send me a message or connect with me, or let me know how can I reach out to you, or let's have a coffee, right? Um, just try to connect with people. It's the only way, and don't take it personal if somebody is not answering you. I had a mentor when I arrived to Winnipeg who told me, it's not personal if people are not answering your emails. And I was like, well, I feel that it's kind of personal because they are not answering me. And I was like, it's not. So just don't take it personal. Just keep going.
Mhm.
Uh, so that is the best way that I can think of that you can do, is just connect with as many people as you can through as many channels as you find.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
that is, yeah, that is wonderful. And yeah, rejection is part of being an entrepreneur, right? Not everyone will buy into your idea. Not people are not buying in very easily at the very beginning. So I will
Mm.
agree with you on that one. Numbers, and once again, execution, I guess, right? Execution, execution, execution.
Yep, exactly. The best way to gain credibility is by doing the work that you are supposed to be doing. I always tell people the same. I'm not good at finding funding. We get funding because we've been doing the best work that we can for 14 years.
Mhm.
So I got rejected in the beginning by TELUS. They told me, you're not sustainable. Well, I've been doing this for 14 years. So now I can go back and tell them, I've been doing this. So you told me 8 years ago that we are not sustainable. I've been doing this 8 more years.
Mhm.
I've been rejected by so many different funding, foundations or whatever. And the only thing that I can tell them nowadays is like, since 2011 across all America, because we run courses from Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Mexico, Canada, some students from the US. We helped over 7,000 people so far. The numbers that we got in the first slide were outdated. We helped over 7,000 people between both charities. We took in thousands of people in the courses. So those are the ways that I have to tell people, you know what? Maybe you think that we are wrong, but this is the reality. Go and talk to people. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
I'm curious if you are tracking the economical impact on the communities that you are creating, right? Because pretty much what you do is like you are making sure that people are getting employed and
Mhm.
creating more value, right? So it has a direct impact on the communities.
Yeah, the reality is that we track the graduates where they are working. So we are connecting with them. We have a Slack, a graduate Slack, where 1,200 Canadian students are there, and we try to reach out to them and share with them job openings and ask them how they are doing, where they are working, all those kind of things. In regards to the economic impact, I try to just do like basic math, like telling people, well, if you invest in this project $1 million, then that means that we can help 500 people to land jobs. 500 people having jobs, that means that a basic tech job, even if it's like tech support, pays double the basic income, but let's say $40,000. And so that means that $40,000 times 500, I don't have the math, but I can tell you. So uh, 40,000 times 500 equals $20 million. So with $1 million investment from any donor, then you generate that revenue that income per year.
Mhm.
Okay, and that is people that are going to be working for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So the return on investment is big. That is the best way to convince any donor or whatever that their impact, the economic impact of their investment is huge and it's worth making it.
Mhm. That is great. So last question to you, please. How can we and our audience support you, like in a paid way and in a free way? So what can we do for your organization?
Spread the word first, right? Like as I always tell people, many times I talk with people from different universities, and they're like, "Well, you're competing against us." I'm like, "No, no, no. We work with people who can't afford. It's one of the requisites. The people who can't afford going to college or university, so that they can solve their economical situation and then go to college and university." I want people to continue their formal studies. I want people to be able to, to get educated. We need to work together and we need to spread the word about everything that we are doing so that those who can't have the amazing opportunity of going to university, they can have it through a different way. And of course, we do volunteering and all those kind of things the same. So if you want to come and talk to people about entrepreneurship, you're more than welcome to do so with our graduates. That's the best way, to help to work together and to, participate in each other's communities.
Awesome. And we will for sure work with you on something together. It has been a long due, right? Time flies, but we will find something that we can do. And yeah, and for all of our participants, reach out, connect on LinkedIn. Don't forget to add a personalized message. Why do you want to connect, right? Because it takes time to answer to all of them, right? So thank you so much, Pablo. It was very, very insightful. I loved it a lot. And yeah, I'm taking a couple of things for me here as well, uh, as an ammunition to speak and convince other people
Thank you
to
so much.
pursue their dreams. Thank you so much.